Um, let's get into it, guys. This is one of the most favorite segments in BO Boys history. We're divvying up the millions on a hit. And we've been saying for a while, we got to do this. Anyone But You is crossing 200 million internationally as we speak. Deadline is reporting it. It's happening. So let's use 200 million as our number. Nice, clean number. And we're going to give credit and money where money is due. So that's how we do it on this segment. We take a movie's box office haul and we divvy it up amongst the parties that we feel contributed to that haul. So let's start off by naming who we think is going to deserve something, and then we'll get into how much they get. So, I mean, the star is Sydney Sweeney, Glen Powell, the director Will Gluck, I think, is someone we throw on that list. Are there any other cast members from Anyone But You, actors, who we think deserve some cash from this? You know, do we think that Dermot Mulroney, who plays one of the parents in this movie, do you think he deserves some cash? Should we throw him on the list here?
Now, you just saw this, Pat. You are
I
fresh
did. I
after
saw
seeing this
2 nights ago. I finally saw this film. Yeah.
And you watched this was the PVOD version. Is it
Yes.
the porno version? Did it have the V-Day? Like, you didn't know because you didn't see it in theaters.
I never saw the original. I didn't see this in theaters, and I definitely don't think the version I saw included 4 minutes of extra porno. So I don't think that version's on PVOD. So we don't know yet what the extra 4 minutes are and how pornographic they are.
I would say, though, we have to add, and we're not talking cast, but the 4 to 5 extra minutes of porno has to be thrown in there for the cash.
That's a factor. Just staying on the cast.
I don't have any actors or actresses in the movie. I don't think anyone else sold any amount of tickets in this film.
Okay. Not Rachel Griffiths, not Brian Brown, of course, the great cocktail actor who's back on the big screen here. I agree. I think we could consider Mulroney. I think we could give that a quick debate whether he gets anything out of this. Otherwise, it's obviously the only actors who matter are Sweeney and Glen Powell.
Now, but what about Gatta? Gatta is a actor / rapper who was in Dave, that FXX show.
Okay.
He would have been the only one for me. Yeah, I'm with
you.
Oh,
let's throw him in. Now, having seen it, yes, Gatta. Okay, I think Gatta's worth talking about. Yeah, let's throw Gatta on there. I'm going to throw Tom Cruise on there in terms of Glen Powell's star power coming off of Top Gun Maverick. So I want to throw Tom Cruise as someone who deserves some possible money from Anyone But You.
Now, can we actually take money from certain individuals or organizations here? Can we actually subtract some money?
Well, because what do you propose?
Obviously, the Sony promo department, the people who promoted this movie originally, and we've talked about this on our previous episodes, did such a horrendous job on the first trailer and then the subsequent trailer and all of the marketing. They sort of lucked into this. So can we take money from their bank account and give it to some of the other people? So we could actually go over 200 million because we're subtracting some money from these marketing individuals.
Okay, so we could throw the Sony marketers on there.
I don't want to make them homeless, so I don't want to take I don't want them to be in debt for life. You know, they don't have to tithe to us or anything. Mm-hmm. But I do think they should lose some level of their income for botching this so greatly. The other person, William Shakespeare, the great writer, playwright. He also, this is based on Taming of the Shrew, right? Is that the one it's based? No, not Taming of the Shrew. Much Ado About Nothing, right?
Yes, Much Ado About Nothing.
Taming of the Shrew was 10 Things I Hate About You. So William Shakespeare has to go on here too, even though the marketing team didn't mention it.
But then again, I mean, if you think about the genesis of this, shouldn't he just get all 200 million? If there is no Shakespeare, there is no anyone but you, right?
Well, we'll get into that. I
mold.
mean, I love it. David's going to be fighting for Shakespeare to get his residuals, and someone has to, because I don't think he's WGA, so someone's got to fight for those residuals here. Yeah, those are some big ones.
I've got one.
Oh, go for it.
I kind of got two. One's kind of a joke. One I'm serious about is Sam Levinson, Euphoria.
Oh, yep.
I mean, it's kind of the Tom Cruise, right? It's the opposite side of the coin, I would say, because Sam Levinson with Euphoria, having Sydney Sweeney on that show with her character, like that's what made her so popular, and made her kind of the symbol and the star that she is amongst young people today. And there is no this character in any, I don't even know her name, this character in Anyone But You without that show, without the writing from Sam Levinson.
Yes. B is who she plays in Anyone But
B, that's
You.
right. Yeah.
Oh, famously.
Yeah.
We're more of a girls' generation. I mean, so we know all the girls, the names of the girls, but we're not up on the Euphoria.
So, who was your other suggestion? And of course, everything is dead serious here.
Everything's dead serious, yeah.
That serious one is Natasha Bedington, or what is her name?
Natasha Bedingfield.
Bedingfield for Unwritten at the end.
I love that one. I love that one.
That got people back in seats, I would say. That was like the go see it again in theaters crowd was because of that song.
I think that's great. I mean, Clayton, we talked about that as I was watching this. That scene, I think, conjures a lot of fond memories too for people of both that song and the way it's been used in previous blockbuster hits. I mean, I'm going to throw something out there. The movie There's Something About Mary, I think, could get some credit for this movie because the box office run of Anyone But You was talked about in such a similar way to the box office run of There's Something About Mary. The B.O. Boys talked about it. That comparison got thrown around a lot, and I think it's a beloved movie, and it's a type of thing, once you hear the B.O. Boys and other outlets start making that comparison, it's one of the things that got people out to theater. So I just want to throw out, I guess, the Farrelly brothers then. We'll put the Farrelly brothers / There's Something About Mary down as possible benefactors here. You mentioned Euphoria. I want to throw out the producers of the film The Voyeurs. Have you ever seen The Voyeurs, David?
I haven't. No.
Amazon original. It was a film Clayton and I saw a few years ago. Sydney Sweeney's in it. It was a streamer, so I hate to give theatrical money to a streamer, but I feel like this is a movie that got people excited to pay to see Sydney Sweeney on a larger screen.
Oh, interesting.
And I think that could be a movie that deserves some credit here. Clayton, one more thing I want to throw out there, the actress Emma Stone, because you talked about the marketing campaign for Anyone But You, specifically the trailer being a disaster. And Emma Stone, soon after that trailer dropped a parody of that trailer.
Not just Emma Stone. You're forgetting someone else here, Pat. You don't want to give Nathan Fielder any money? What's going on here? Anti-Canada?
I don't think...
Anti-cringe humor?
So Emma Stone and Nathan Fielder did a joint parody of Anyone But You's trailer. But we're talking theatrical dollars. I in this moment in time, at this day, I cannot give Nathan Fielder credit for anyone going to see a movie to buy a movie ticket. But Emma Stone obviously is someone who gets people to buy movie tickets. And I think her doing a parody trailer of this movie almost cured the ills that the marketing department created by creating that trailer in the first place. So I think she's someone we've got to put on the list.
Okay.
To possibly get something.
I mean, I think the Curse Cast parody is what you're saying, and then that money is mostly going to go to Emma Stone, but she'll probably give it to charity because she's a mensch, as we all know.
Yeah. So I think that is there any other elements that people that we think could get any money from this? Clayton, if I missed anyone.
I don't think so. I mean, let's just start divvying up. If we come
Let's
up with
start.
something while we're giving this money out, we can throw it out there. But let's start. Let's do it.
All right. So I mean, listen, the big one is going to be Sydney Sweeney. So we're working with 200 million. How much does she get? I mean,
A lot.
does she get half, more than half? I mean, I feel like to me that's the starting point. You know, we've got a lot of elements that are going to get money here and there, but you ask me, I'm willing to give Sydney Sweeney $100+ million.
And of course, you've listened to the show, so you know. But just for new listeners who are brought in by our capes expert, this is who made people see this movie, right? So
Yeah.
we're talking about box office. So it's got to be this element drove butts to seats.
Yep.
And so we have to start at 50% here. We have to start at $100 million for Sydney Sweeney. At the minimum, that's what she's worth. Minimum.
Yeah. Because I think a great way to think about this is imagine it's not Sydney Sweeney.
Yep.
Right? Imagine it is someone else, not as popular, not as in right now. And what does this movie do, even with Glen Powell? And I think roles reversed, if it's not Glen Powell and it's someone else there, I think it still could do maybe not nearly as well, but still pretty good because they have great chemistry. And I think they ended up selling the movie very well just in interviews. But I do think Sydney Sweeney gets, man, I don't want to be the first one throwing out a number out there, but
Do it.
I
Another
think
guess.
it's like 115.
Yep.
I think that's
I love it.
I think that's honestly, I think that's deserved. I don't know what percent that works out to, but I think that is deserved because Glen Powell is obviously going to get the next share, but I do think Sydney Sweeney is inherently, even in the movie, I would maybe say Glen Powell is actually a little bit more charismatic, but I do just think the Sydney Sweeney, the social media of it all, right? She has all these followers and following, and she's a hot name. I do think she is by far the main reason people went out and saw this movie, and possibly why they went out, which I think is very important to think with the legs of this film, and saw the movie again, right? Who got people to go see the movie again, which are the stars. The stars drive this film, and good for Sony Pictures, I should say. I would say, but obviously Sony's not exactly patting them on the back for this one. They just got lucky here.
Mm-hmm.
So internationally, this film has made 117 million. How about we use that as a number? Let's let Sydney Sweeney have the entire foreign take up to this point of Anyone But You, and just give her 117.
I like that.
And you know, we give it to her in US currency. She's not going to have to go all over the place doing exchanges and stuff, but
We're not gonna give her in
117.
like Cougarans or whatever.
Right. So she gets 117. So let's move over to the co-star, Glen Powell, who I agree. I think we all agree if you switched him out, maybe it makes a little less, but it probably doesn't make, you know, we're not looking at a Sydney Sweeney and Liam Hemsworth movie that is made, you know, 30 million at the domestic box office. But do we all agree he should get the second most of anyone else we've named?
Yeah, but okay,
Yeah,
here's my
I think
thing.
so.
Here's my thought with the Glen Powell situation. I think Tom Cruise should still get more than Glen Powell. Because at this point in Glen Powell's career, his leading man, butts in the seats, draw power is questionable. Because as we've said, Sydney Sweeney is the reason people went to see this movie, the predominant reason people went to see this movie. She is the star of this movie. I think we'll have a whole different conversation here if this is post Twisters 2, or Twisters just by itself.
Yep.
And it's a big hit.
Right.
And Hitman comes out, and I know it's a streamo, but people love it and say, this guy's got it. This movie should be on the big screen. Or a miracle happens and they save this movie from, what is it, Netflix, and put it on the screen like they did with Monkey Man, like they're doing with Monkey Man.
Oh, I'm so excited about that, by the way.
Right?
Oh, that's
So
huge.
that is my thing with Glen Powell, is that we could go back and look at this conversation that we've had in a year and 2 years and be like, he was this draw. He did deserve this money. But right now, I can't say that if you put another young actor, and I always go to Austin Butler, and he's not really known for his comedy, but great SNL host. You put Austin Butler in this movie, it could make the same or more.
Oh,
Yeah.
it would make more. Austin Butler is a bigger star. I mean, he's an Oscar nominee. He headlined a hit movie. So Austin Butler, I think, is just that would up the value of this movie.
That would have been wild.
Yeah.
But what about Chuckles Melton, right? I mean, we've talked about that with Kirk. I mean, you put him in this movie. I mean, maybe if they have chemistry, because we don't know if he would have chemistry with Sydney Sweeney, right? So that's the thing here with Glen Powell, is that I do think he deserves money, because I think he did well in this movie. I think his character's a little consistent, but I'm not a critic, but I do think Tom Cruise gets more, because the Maverick boost of people knowing Glen Powell from Maverick is more important than Glen Powell actually being in this movie. Do you know what I mean?
Well, how about this, Clayton? Throw out a number. Forget Tom Cruise. Throw out a number that you think Glen Powell deserves. And then I think what we should do is take that number and give slightly more than half to Tom Cruise. So like just Glen Powell's star power right now, how much do you think that is worth?
That math doesn't work, because Tom Cruise would still need to get more.
So what I'm saying is, say you were to say Glen Powell's worth 20 million.
Okay.
Cruise gets 11, he gets 9. You know what I mean?
Oh, so you're splitting it. Okay.
Splitting it afterwards. So just forget Cruise for a second. Give us a number of what Glen Powell brought to this movie.
You're adding the idea of Glen Powell through Tom Cruise, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think 20.
Exactly.
I think 20 is a fair sum. I think, Pat, you hit that pretty good, because I don't think there's many other factors that deserve a ton of money here. So I do think 20 million's good for the combined Glen Powell Tom Cruise situation.
So David, do you think Glen Powell deserves any more than 20? Do you have a case?
I think it could be more. I think it could be more, because we have 117 down. I just think that I like Glen Powell. I guess subjectively, I like Glen Powell. I watched his full Men's Health video on YouTube before seeing the movie. I think
I've seen his fridge. I've seen his fridge as well.
Yeah. He doesn't eat cheese.
Doesn't like cheese.
Whatever it was. Yeah.
Oh no, he loves cheese. I think he loves cheese, and I think he loves cheese, and it's too he's like, I eat too much cheese.
Either he loves it or he hates it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do, and I also, to slightly push back, I think in Maverick, you are 100% correct. Cruise deserves the ratio, but I do think that would maybe up the number here for the combined, is because Powell is so electric as that character in Top Gun Maverick, and he is scene stealing and scene grabbing and steals scenes from Miles Teller in that movie, in my opinion. So I think there is a little more credit to give. And for this, I would maybe just bump it up 25, because that's still easily the second biggest winner and earner of the film. But I don't want it to be where it shouldn't be Sydney Sweeney's worth 100 million more than Glen Powell, in my opinion.
So then if we do that 25, then Glen Powell gets 13 million and Tom Cruise gets $12 million. I'm sorry, the other way around. Tom Cruise gets 13 million and Glen Powell gets $12 million.
I think that makes sense.
I think that makes sense. So now we've accounted for 142 million. So we have 58 million to go. I'll throw out some ones who could be the next biggest earner. Director Will Gluck, original writer Bill Shakespeare, Dermot Mulroney. Who there do we think is the number 3 most important? Shakespeare or Will Gluck?
I do love that those 3 people are in a conversation right now.
Yes.
Only on this show. There's never been a conversation about Will Gluck, Dermot Mulroney. Is that
Will Shakespeare?
And Will Shakespeare.
Yeah.
And Gotta.
And Gotta.
We gotta get to Gotta. Gotta get to
Gotta. We'll get to Gotta after we get to William Shakespeare. So give us a second here. I think William Shakespeare. I think William Shakespeare's the
Shakespeare
next
gets
one.
the next. Yeah.
Because you don't have a script without. I mean, Will Gluck has nothing to work with.
Okay.
Because look, Will Gluck did Easy A, and that was Scarlet Letter. So the guy only does the classics. So I think that William Shakespeare is the next best one.
Okay. So we thinking like 10 million for Shakespeare? You know, how much is he getting for this script? Is a hot script going around town? Does he get it 10 million?
Yeah, or maybe like 8 million.
8 million. Okay.
Let's give 8 to Bill and 2 to, his friend who helped him. The guy who they think actually wrote that.
Yeah,
So
right.
get a kickback to his ghostwriter, right? So let's give him 10, 8 for him. He breaks off a little piece for his buddy, gets the beak wet.
I think then that's for Shakespeare to handle on that end. That's got to go through him. So let's just give Shakespeare 10.
That's what,
and if he wants to pay his guy, then he could pay his guy, but he's got to do that deal. He's got to do that
pay
math.
his guy. He'll pay his guy.
So Shakespeare's getting 10.
It's like the whole Glen Powell, sold his Hollywood soul to Tom Cruise dilemma we just broke down a couple minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Everybody owes somebody something in Hollywood.
Exactly. And so Shakespeare will handle that part. So he got 10. The director of this film, Will Gluck, are we giving him half of that? Are we giving him 2 million? Does he matter at all? Does he get anything?
As somebody who recently, in the past 6 months, watched Fired Up, I will say I just don't see Will Gluck being somebody who made people see this movie.
Okay.
Because he's just not known by a general audience, even though he has had hits. This is a guy who has had success, and he's having success in romantic comedies, which was something that was dead and on Streamo. So he deserves credit in the sort of like creative community and the business community, like with us. But I doubt regular Joe Blow lunch pail, Susie Crocheter said, got to see the next Will Gluck.
Okay.
I think this should be another tandem example, but with Emma Stone.
I love it. Yes.
Because this should be like 3 million, but 1.4 goes to Emma Stone. Not only because of Easy A, but because of the mockery, right?
Yep.
The faux trailer or whatever they made.
Well, here's the thing. I love this. But I think the mockery makes more than Will Gluck.
Oh, okay. So let's separate
I think the mockery makes more too. But I think you're right. A big part of why Emma Stone probably did this is to help her buddy Will Gluck. So let's give 1.5 to Will Gluck. Let's get him something so he, help pay the mortgage and he could direct the sequel. So Emma Stone then, I agree, should get twice as much as Will Gluck. So we're giving her 3.
Yeah. I like that.
I think she gets more. I think she gets more because that was the best marketing, Pat. You said it. That was the best marketing this movie had. That got people to go because that was something that they did as a joke that brought that back into people's thought process, and they watched the original and then they ended up going to see the movie. I think that deserves at least what did you say, 3?
Well, how about this? If Will Gluck gets 1.5, she gets 3 times as much. She gets 4.5.
Let's just make it 5. Come on, you're really gonna give?
Well, that way I could also get rid of these halves here.
Okay, fine. All right.
By the way, I've got an X factor here.
Okay.
Oh, I love it.
I think Jason Momoa deserves some bucks because there was absolutely no competition for Christmas this year. And Jason Momoa was supposed to be that, right? Hey, man, if this was 2015 and this was Star Wars Episode 7, Anyone But You completely goes under the radar, and it's not where it is today. People actually went during the holiday season, saw this rom-com, told their friends about Sydney Sweeney, and went back, and people saw this movie through February, where we are right now. And I think a juggernaut franchise film led by a star that's not Aquaman 2 and Jason Momoa would have smashed this thing before it got off the ground.
Wow. I mean, if we're gonna go crazy,
just a little bit, just something for Jason Momoa.
I love this. Yeah, I love this X Factor. I mean, can we give money to the director of Quantum Mania for killing superhero movies and killing all subsequent superhero movies.
Peyton Reed.
Yeah. And listen, listen, he's a comedy guy. He did Bring It On. The guy, a New York comedy guy. So no, I don't have any animosity towards him. But the fact that movie really turned the worm on superhero movies made Aquaman, which should have been a surefire hit because it's got James Wan and Momoa, and it was $1 billion baby, the first one.
And it did okay.
No competition for this movie.
All right.
It was not the giant walking behind, right? It wasn't this big thing that just completely took over theaters. It simply wasn't. Anyone but You was more talked about over the last few months.
Although I will say, Sisters came out the same time that the first Star Wars, what would you call it? I guess Chapter 7 or Episode 7, and it did pretty good. So I do think we live in a different climate. So maybe that counter programming doesn't necessarily work as well as it used to. But there is a possibility that a big movie can raise all boats. So.
Jason Momoa, Peyton Reed, given the money for collapsing superhero movies so that Anyone But You could have a clear runway. Do they just get $5 million each?
We can't give them five. We can't give them more than Stone.
Okay, so $2 million apiece. How's that?
Break them off 2.
So they each get $2 million to
That's
help
fair.
The collapsing superhero movies. So we're up to about 162. So we've got 38 million to play with. Let's get to Gotta. We got to get to Gotta. So Clayton, who wants to make their case for Gotta and why he's got to get paid?
The young buck has to. The young man.
Okay.
Himself, David Thompson. You're the generation. You're the Gotta generation.
Yeah, we're of course Gen X, so we're not the.
Well, you're a millennial, so you're more of a Kid Cudi generation.
Sad when Cobain died.
No. I just thought going in.
You're a baby. That's why you're crying.
Watching Anyone But You, I thought Gotta gave the third most tantalizing experience, right? Interesting, charismatic to watch on screen. So I would say a touch below Emma Stone for Gotta, because I don't think it's as much as Emma Stone. But what did we give Emma Stone?
We gave Emma Stone $4.5 million. So okay, you think Gotta's got to get 4?
No, I'd say like 2.
Yeah,
Gotta gets 2.
Because I think we're going under the assumption that people knew that Gotta was going to be in this and went to see it. So
exactly, and I think there might have been a $2 million worth of those people that did.
Agreed.
Anything for Dermot Mulroney? Does anyone?
I don't think so.
No,
I really don't think
he was
so.
a calming presence, maybe for some of the older people who went, because it wasn't just
$250,000, maybe.
Quarter. We're going into a quarter of. Okay.
Pat hates that. Pat's not going to like that.
No, we could do 200.
You hate that when I do that. Listen, he's giving you preferential treatment, David. He likes you. He likes you. He doesn't like me.
Oh, I like him much more than you, of course. Of course. Okay, so he gets 0.25 million. So
it's gonna make this a mess.
No, we'll figure it out. Natasha Bedingfield.
That's a big one. I think actually we sort of slept on that.
More than Gotta.
One.
Yeah.
More than Gotta.
I would say more in that 4 million range.
Yeah.
This was the
I
return.
think we could go higher.
Viewers.
This is
maybe okay. Yeah.
Well, go for it. What were you gonna say there, David?
I was just gonna say that we talked about Gotta getting $2 million worth of people to go see the film without knowing what it is. I think this song was getting people back in theaters to watch it.
That's exactly what I was going to say, because the thing about this movie that's interesting with divvying up the millions is that we're not talking about opening weekend. We're not talking about the first 2 weekends and then it starts making piddly money. We're talking about a movie that was DOA that I said was DOA.
Yeah.
And then it started moving forward and making money.
Yeah.
In that there's something about Mary sort of way. And what were the elements that did that? And I think you nailed it in that this is a song that people either love guiltily or just love genuinely. It brings them back to their childhood. It is a song that is fun and uplifting, and you can dance to it, as we've seen from the credits. So
Yeah.
I think this is a big driver for this movie.
Yeah, it's exactly that return to seats, because it makes you feel, even if the movie is what it is, it's a rom-com, it's pretty straightforward. This little twist and element at the end, it makes you feel happy leaving the theater.
Yes.
And that's what many people want. At the end of the day, right? Like, you want to feel something, and some people do not always want to feel happy, but you want to feel something. And this made you feel this like jubilation, happiness, upbeat.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm having fun. I'm gonna blast this in the car on the drive back home, and in a month, I'm gonna see Nothing's in theaters in January, and then go see Anyone But You again and have another great time
and leave the theater dancing. Yeah, Pat, you said that when you saw it the other night.
I mean, listen, I didn't love this movie. It, to me, wasn't as, I mean, it wasn't very funny, and but
you're not a critic, huh?
And I love Sydney Sweeney. Watching her 2 hours, great. And Glen Powell was fun to watch, and Gata, of course. But when this song played at the end, and you're cutting to all the cast singing to it, and we're going back to these different scenes from earlier in the movie, but now instead of the scene playing out, they're singing the song, and of course, it just immediately brings back Buttercup from There's Something About Mary, and the cast singing that at the end, and it just makes you leave with a good feeling, dance out of the aisle, dance out of the theater. And that's the type of thing that gets people to come back in. So all that said, I think this could be bigger than Shakespeare. I think Natasha Bedingfield Unwritten gets 11 million. If Shakespeare got 10, I think this gets 11.
I would go as high as 15.
So now you're going, at that point, we're going higher than the Glen Powell's portion of it.
Yeah,
of course,
the
Tom
Glen Powell
Cruise got
portion.
13.
Okay, well then maybe that's a little bit crazy. Or Glen Powell gets a little bit more.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm starting to think
We
Cruise
could give
and
Glen Powell and
Powell
Cruise more.
may need more.
Yeah. So let's stick with Bedingfield, Natasha getting 15.
I like 15. Talking it through, I'm confident in that number, honestly.
And
So
then let's do the more for Cruise and Powell.
Okay, let's give them 5 million more apiece.
Yeah.
So let's bring Cruise up to 18 million, and then Glen Powell goes up to 17 million.
No, other way.
Tom Cruise is 18
and
million.
Oh,
and
I'm sorry.
Glen Powell,
You're right,
17 million.
Okay, you're right.
So then that's 174, and we've given. So now we're up to 189.25, and I'll double check that math, but I think it's correct. 189.25. So we're gonna have to give someone a 0.75.
Yeah.
Soon.
I love how he's acting like he's not mad that 0.25 is there.
No, I love
such
it.
a good job of it. You don't love it. You fucking hate it, and you know it.
I love it because it's going to lead to something great. So Sam Levinson and The Voyeurs, I think properties that really made people love Sydney Sweeney. David, you're the one who brought up Sam Levinson. What do you think he gets here?
I think individually he could get the 0.75. I think that's perfect.
0.75 for Sam Levinson, because I agree. I think, he helped for sure, but also we don't want to pay this guy that much of Anyone But You.
No, and that's kind of something.
He gets something.
It's kind of like an FU. You get less than $1 million. Everyone else is getting all these numbers.
Almost giving him that little is an insult, which is kind of what he deserves, but he also deserves $750,000.
And then he sees Sydney Sweeney's check, and he's like, "Wait."
Yes, that's a great moment. That's a great moment when they both go to the bank on the same day.
And he's like, Euphoria season 3, and then Sydney Sweeney, Zendaya, and Jacob Elordi all look at him like,
"Yeah,
I don't think so."
I don't think so. And they just smack him in the face with these big checks.
Yeah. They're huge.
Go make another show with The Weeknd. Have fun.
Oh,
this time put Gata in it.
Yeah.
He's not gonna be able to get Gata. The Voyeurs. Clayton, we saw this film together. How much credit do you think this gets for getting people to the box office? I think it's something.
It is. I mean, listen, it's something, but it's really Those are the ticket buyers that did not want to be known. Those were the ticket buyers in the long coats.
Yeah.
Those are the ticket buyers who went and I feel like maybe said one for a different movie. They were like one for Aquaman, and then they snuck into Anyone But You.
Okay.
There's some shame involved, I feel like, here. So I'm not going to give that.
Those are the ticket buyers that went to the theater maybe with dark sunglasses on and a wool knit cap when they went to see the theater. And if you're watching our show on YouTube instead of just on the podcast feed, you know what I mean.
Don't take your anger about these fractions and decimals out on me.
I'm just promoting subscribe to the BO Boys on YouTube so you can see certain people wearing dark shades
and a knit cap. What are you, fucking 200 years old? I think that voyeurs should have gotten more money, but people did not pay to see this movie because of voyeurs. They snuck in or said they went to see a different movie. So I would say,
I think 2 million.
Yeah, voyeurs doesn't get 2 million.
1 million. 1 million. It's got to get 1 million.
By the way, I think, not to throw a wrench in this, voyeurs is one. I think the movie Reality, which is a Sydney Sweeney, she's the main character, is an HBO movie. I think deserves an equal part of voyeurs. I think that should be 1 million too, because that, to me, when I watched that film, it's really excellent. One day she played. It's a very like serious film. It's like a totally different role that I'd ever seen her in. That sold me that she actually has legit acting chops. And I think for some other people that could have been as well, because it was relatively popular on HBO when it initially came out, based on a true story. Like it's just like a very almost documentary kind of ish, but recreation of that.
Yeah. Okay, great. Let's give Reality some dough.
Let's give it another million there. So then we're up to 192. So, and you know what? I'll say this. My wife really did enjoy that film Reality on HBO and remarked Sydney Sweeney was good in that. And I think that's a kind of performance that maybe you got your voyeurs people who go see it to see Sydney Sweeney in one light. And then you got other people who saw Reality and they said, oh, she's a good actress. Let me go see this. So yeah, 1 million apiece there.
So what's left? I think Farrelly's is the one we really have to talk about.
Okay, so the Farrelly brothers, Something About Mary. This movie had a lot of comparisons. Yeah, we got 8 million to play with, and we still have the Farrellys and the 4 minutes of bonus porno footage.
Oh, okay. I think so. Here's my bid for these remaining two. You got to give $1 million per minute of porno footage. Even if it's not real, the perceived value of porno footage in this movie would be worth $1 million per minute.
Okay.
4 for the porno footage. And then I do think 4 for Farrelly Brothers, split between the two of them. Of course, they take care of that, two and two, or whatever they want to do. Who knows where they are right now because they're separated, like these brothers are doing for some reason. I think that this is another factor, like the Bedingfield song factor, is that they heard Mendelssohn, they heard David Thompson, they heard Jeff Bach, they heard all the pundits talking about Something About Mary, and they wanted to be part of this phenomena. Mm-hmm. And I think we also can be, this is a win for us. This money, we will never see it, but this money is also for us, the BO pundits who put this out into the universe, that this was something akin to Something About Mary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that's totally fair. 4 million for the Farrelly brothers, some Mary connection. Clayton, now you wanted to take away money from because of the Sony marketers. What are you taking away right now?
Well, let's say how many marketers do you think they have going there, right? Could we take
dozens?
Dozens. Okay, so there's dozens. So you don't have to do this math super accurately, but I do think we take $1 million from them. And that's like a piece from each of them. So it could be 250 grand from this one and whatever, right? So like, or 10 grand. Like, I think whatever the group is,
they're all giving back like a month's salary or something.
They have to pony up $1 million altogether.
Yeah, they got to figure it out.
They got to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so that money then I do think will go back into the kitty. And I think that money should go to Glen Powell and Sydney Sweeney, who had to stomach doing this bad marketing for their film.
Let's just give
figured it
that
out,
money
man.
to Sydney Sweeney then. Let's just give it to Sydney Sweeney.
Might as well.
Okay, so this is what we have, guys. Sydney Sweeney, with that extra $1 million that the Sony marketers who created the trailer have to pay directly to her, she now gets $118 million.
Worth every penny.
The next highest is Tom Cruise, has made $18 million off of Anyone But You for making Glen Powell into a star. Natasha Bedingfield, for her song, gets $15 million. Glen Powell gets $17 million. Bill Shakespeare gets $10 million for writing the original screenplay. Emma Stone gets $4.5 million for their trailer parody. Director Will Gluck gets $1.5 million. Gotta gets $2 million. Jason Momoa gets $2 million. Peyton Reed gets $2 million. Dermot Mulroney gets $250,000. Sam Levinson.
Wait, when did we agree to that?
$0.25 million.
Oh, okay. Just to make you okay. I understand.
Yeah,
You did that.
gets
Okay.
$250,000. Sam
That's great.
Levinson gets $750,000. The producers of the film The Voyeurs get $1 million. The producers of the film Reality get $1 million, all part of making Sydney Sweeney a star. The Farrelly brothers get $4 million for the Something About Mary buzz that this film had. The 4 minutes of extra porno footage that ran in the last couple of weekends of theatrical contributed $4 million. And then, of course, that brings up to $201 million. And then we go back to $200 million because the Sony marketers had to pony up $1 million to Sydney Sweeney.
Yep.
So we did it, guys. We divvied up the millions, the 200 million
I'm proud
worldwide.
of
It's a great list. It's a great list. And everyone, I think you send this around to all the management, all the accountants, they're going to say, nailed it.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Yep.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. All right. On that note, David, talk to us about your current project, Cinema Spending, the Direct podcast. Where can people find you? And listen, you showed it here tonight. You're the money guy. When it comes to movies, you know your money. So where can people follow you? Get more of this kind of stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much, first off, for having me. This has been an absolute blast. You guys can find me at the Direct Podcast, which you guys can watch or listen to, I should say, every Monday. Me, Matt Remke, dive into all the universes that you love. So Marvel, Star Wars, DC, and we've expanded a lot. We're talking Dune now because Dune is releasing in theaters, and we are so excited about that. Wednesdays, not every Wednesday, but Wednesdays, I drop Cinema Spending. Since revitalizing it, I've basically done it only solo, which has been really fun for me. Where basically I go on there and rant for about 20 minutes or so, sometimes cut it down a little bit, but it's a lot of fun talking the box office and typically picking out one specific topic to cover. Over on thedirect.com, that's where you can find my writing. If you want to check any of that out, I'm writing articles pretty much every single day about the entertainment industry, from stuff on the B.O. Boys box office to technology and video games. So it's a lot of fun. But thank you guys again so much for having me.
So, of course, listen to, follow, read David on all those outlets. Of course, you could email the BO Boys at theboboyspodcast@gmail.com. We love getting your emails. We'll get to some more of those on our Thursday preview episode, which on that episode, we're going to have another special guest. We're going to have Danny Escamilaggi of I Screen, You Scream 4, number 4 movies. And we're going to be talking Dune 2. Very exciting. His most anticipated movie of the year. So that's going to be huge. And we'll get some more emails there. The BO Boys Podcast at gmail.com. Follow us on social media at the BO Boys Pod. Want to BO Senior Intern Christopher. killing it running our socials, our TikTok, our Twitter X, all the video clips on YouTube. So follow us there. Read our Substack. Wannabe junior intern Jack has brought back the Substack. He's writing 2 to 3 articles a week, weekend summaries, previews, his thoughts on historical box office movies. You got to subscribe to the BO Boys Substack. Follow us on YouTube. Listen, if you only listen to the podcast, you're getting only half the story. You are not seeing the shades, the walnut cap, Clayton's whole wardrobe. You got to watch us on YouTube in order to get all that. Clayton, I am just plugging our YouTube channel, trying to monetize, so it's for the good of the show. So watch us on YouTube, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, give 5 stars to the Direct Podcast, the Cinema Spending, and the BO Boys. Just do it all one afternoon. Sit down with a bowl of rice and a sandwich, whatever you want to eat, and then just give 5 stars to all these podcasts.
A bowl of rice and a sandwich. What is your diet?
Odd combo.
So carb heavy.
Pre-marathon meal right there.
Yeah.
I'm trying. People need the energy to give. I'm not saying give 5 stars to just one podcast. I'm saying you got to do 3.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Carbo load. And then it's an afternoon of giving 5-star reviews to all of our podcasts. And guys, I think that's it. I think we've done it.
Oh, there can't be anything left to say.
No, nothing.
Except for, until next time, we'll smell you at the box office. Nailed it.